She had been dreading this day for years. Her father, once so proud and strong, was now a shell of his former self. His memory had begun to fail him 5 years ago. At the time, she hoped it was just a part of him getting older. But now, it was not only his memory that seemed to betray him. The week prior, on one of her visits, she found her father on the kitchen floor, helpless. He had been there for several hours. She had wanted to believe that he was still capable of taking care of himself. That he was still capable of great things. That he was still capable of being her father. But she could see that the spark was gone from his eyes. The bank had seized the family farm years ago. Her mother left this world shortly after. She had promised herself that she would never leave his side. But life happened, and she fell in love, got married, and now had children of her own to care for. She encouraged him to come and stay with them. But what remaining pride he still had kept him from accepting. As the nurse spoke to her father and her, she glanced down at his calloused and weathered hands. The hands that held her the day she was born. The hands that picked her up off the ground every time she scraped her knee. The hands that clutched her hands tightly as he walked her down the aisle. His face showed his years. His eyes were the eyes of a man who had seen war and lived to talk about it. Eyes that had seen the first light on several a morning from the wheat fields he toiled in. Eyes that wept bitterly at her mother's funeral, and leapt to life the first time he saw his first grandchild. As the nurse exited the room, she leaned in close and kissed his rugged and wrinkled cheek. The door opened again and a doctor stepped in. Her mind raced with worry, but her own private physician had recommended this as her only course of action. "So, you must be Mr. Jones?" the doctor asked. Her father merely shook his head in acknowledgement. She clutched his arm tightly as she looked up, tears in her eyes, and addressed the doctor. "Yes. This is my father. And we've come to have him put down."